It's September 4th. The Lord of the Rings of Power has been released to the public for at least a few days now, so we can go to IMDb and get an idea from the users as to what they think of The Lord of the Rings. Here are the user ratings, which have achieved a weighted average of a 6.7, which means that, generally speaking, if you were looking at reviews, you would expect about half of them, maybe a little bit less than half of them, to be below a 6, and the other half to be above a 6. And we can see a breakdown of the IMDb users' ratings for the Rings of Power. And yeah, okay, so there's a lot of 10s, and there's a lot of 1s. So, for those who are into conspiracy theories, that to me looks like a graph of a whole bunch of people giving it a 10 because they know that a whole bunch of people are giving it a 1. But let's say, for argument's sake, the 10s are all legitimate, and all 25%, all 20,000 of these 1 votes are just trolls or bots review bombing the show. Well, if that's the case, then the 5, 4, 3, and 2 should be at least somewhat legitimate. And 3% plus 2.5% plus 3.4% plus 5.1% equals 14%. So if we were going to go to the reviews, then we would expect 1 in 7 to be a 2, 3, 4, or a 5. Or at least 1 in 7 to be below a 6. Remembering, too, that we have 79,000 IMDb users giving it a weighted average of 6.7. 79,000 users, almost 80,000 users have submitted a rating for the Rings of Power. So let's go to the reviews. 74 reviews out of 80,000 ratings, almost. Nothing suspicious there. So you would expect 10 or 11 of them at 14% to be a 2, 3, 4, or 5. Or at the very least, 10 or 11 of them to be below a 6. So let's sort by preview rating and go bottom up to see just how many of them were below a 6. And the 0? 0? We can compare this to, let's say, Star Trek Into Darkness from 2013, a franchise which probably has a lot of overlap in the people who are fans of the Lord of the Rings franchise as well. 482,000 IMDb users have given a weighted average vote of 7.7 out of 10. And here's how that vote distribution looks. So you wouldn't exactly predict a whole lot of 1-star reviews. In fact, you'd expect that only 0.9% of those reviews would be 1 star. So if you had, I don't know, roughly 1,300 reviews, you'd expect only 13 or so of them to be 1-star reviews. Knowing, too, that people who hate something are much more likely to review it because they're reviewing out of pure rage. And their highly negative review is their rage manifesting itself. Whereas the meh respondents aren't very likely to review something. And that's as true for Star Trek Into Darkness as it would be for The Lord of the Rings of Power. So what do we find in the Star Trek Into Darkness user reviews? 1,300 reviews, right? So we would expect then 13 or so 1-star reviews. And instead we get page after page after page after page of 1-star reviews. Not 0. So with all of those ratings below a 6, not one person reviewed it below a 6 in 74 reviews? Well, maybe this has changed over time, and here we are pumping the same thing into the Wayback Machine, where we can see just about 24 hours ago there were 74 reviews. No one has reviewed this in the last 24 hours, and all of the reviews are 6 or higher? No, this couldn't possibly be IMDb throttling the reviews. Nothing suspicious to see here.